Okay, hello. This is Richard Needles for my LinkedIn and YouTube audience. I am here today with James Prysock, and we're going to be talking about the topic of mentors. And I've decided to expand my leadership lessons videos to include some other key people, people that can add some valuable insights into some of these topics. And I've asked James to introduce himself, and then I'm going to ask him a few questions about mentors in his life. James, what's the James Prysock story?
James Prysock, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. So I graduated from Otterbein University in undergrad and for my MBA, and just been able to be a good member of the community. One of the things that I was raised to do for my parents was to give back to the community, and so tried to do that in various forms, whether it's just sharing knowledge or just volunteering at different places. So that's been a big part of my journey. You want to take care of your community, take care of people, even those that haven't reciprocated that. And so that's been a big lesson of mine that I've tried to embody throughout my time. But yes, I do diversity inclusion work for Otterbein University. So that was another way I wanted to give back to my alma mater and help shape student experiences to even make it better than the student experience that I had going through college.
Wonderful, wonderful. And again, I thank you for accepting my LinkedIn invitation several months ago. We've got some of those common interests, and obviously watching and seeing other people grow and develop, reflecting on how we've grown and developed is one of those common interests. So the first question I told you I would ask is about who was a mentor that was important to you early in your life? Who was that person? What did you learn from them?
Yes, this one was really hard. I've been very blessed to have several influential people in my life. But if I had to pick one, I would pick one outside of the family. Dr. Frank Hale. So he's really big at Ohio State University. Even has the Hale Center is named after him. So he was actually a member of my church, and so kind of we connected on several different things that we did for the church, and he just always wanted to talk to me about what's my next step, what's my next step. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get through middle school. Then they become, I'm just trying to get through high school. But he wanted me to think about my future, to be able to make intentional choices. And that was his goal, was to help me think about that and to think critically about those things, to try to map out a plan in my life and figure out some of the things that I would like to do, what type of person I want to be, and what does that look like in a career space. So he never pushed me to go anywhere in particular, even though he was there at Ohio State. He said, if you love to come, then that's great, but I just want you to have a successful journey. So whatever that looks like for you, you do that, because it's your life, it's your story.
Wow. Wow. But what a great early mentor. Now, how old were you when he came into your life?
Yeah, I would say I joined the church when I was 8. And so, yeah, it was, I'd say by the time him and I connected, I was probably, 10 to 12 years old. So it was really early in my academic career.
Wow. So two things I might highlight there is what I'm hearing is kind of who are you? Who do you want to be? Take that long-term view and have some consistent values. It sounds like he reinforced those things.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. So the second question I want to ask is about who's a more recent mentor? Someone in the last several years? Who was that person? What did you learn? And how was that a little different from that first mentor?
Yeah, I would say Dr. Lisa Phillips had a really big impact on me. She was the director of Otterbein's Diversity and Inclusion Office. Her first year was my last year as an undergrad student, so we connected there. And we're able to work together on some projects for the university. Once I graduated, I started working for Columbus Public Health, and eventually was cut there. And so I was without a job for a little bit and decided to do retail, and just to have something to do to bring in some income. Well, I ran into her and her husband at the mall where I was working at, and we chatted, and long story short, I ended up working at Otterbein. It was a perfect storm of situations, which which happened for me. And it was supposed to be just a 1-year gig because I didn't have a master's degree at the time. And so, but she saw fit after my first year and spoke with her supervisor, and they decided to keep me moving forward. And they ended up paying for my master's degree and stuff like that there. So that worked out well for everyone. But I think a couple of the things that she taught me was first that investment in someone is that looking and saying, hey, well, this is what the preferred qualifications are, but I know that you can do this, and so let's bring you in there, and then we'll give you opportunity to advance your degree. Well, ultimately, your skill set is going to fit this job perfectly, and so it's broadened my perspective when it comes to now me being in a hiring position to be able to reciprocate that, and then also looking at putting maximum effort, but also looking out for your best interest as far as career mobility. And that's something that has changed, I think, across the generations. So my dad worked, for the same job for 33 years and retired from that job. Right. And there's a point of pride in that, definitely. But looking at, hey, if your moment comes, don't be afraid to leave and do something else that fulfills you. And so, you be loyal while you're here and give it your maximum effort, but also think about the long term and what's best for your career. You don't want to live with any regrets. And so that kind of stuck with me. And she modeled that for me so I could see what that looks like in real time.
Wow. So I'm hearing a connection to kind of always keep your future in mind, but this most recent mentor is just be flexible, be open to all kinds of new opportunities. And from our previous conversations, I know when you interact with students, you kind of bring that to them as well. It's stay open to what the universe will present to you over the next few years. That's really cool. So now we're going to shift to, you are a mentor to many people now. And when you think about people you're mentoring, who comes to mind and how are you helping that person?
Yeah, well, my job gives me a chance to do that organically, just working with students on a day-to-day basis, and just helping them to navigate their personal, professional, and educational lives, and having that delicate balance. I think our generation, maybe even more so than others, has this, if I am busy, then that is a really good thing. And you glorify in being busy sometimes, but at the same time, what are you doing to feed yourself? A drained battery can't charge anything, and it can't make anything move. And so with that, let's make your areas of involvement very intentional. So like going back to my mentor's lessons and saying, what does that look like for you? And then not projecting and saying, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that, but let's lay out all the cards on the table and let's see what you think about them, and let's walk through it together. And sometimes that ends up in students changing their major or changing their internship site or picking up a student organizational responsibility that they never thought that they would be a part of. And then helping people to find their strengths too. I think that's a big part of, we tend to focus on what we don't do well. And there's certainly great opportunities for us to learn new skills, but then we also need to be sharpening and utilizing the skills that we do have. We have those talents. Now, what do those talents look like in a professional setting, in a personal setting? Because then when you're able to connect those dots, I think it helps people become more confident in what they're doing. And confidence helps fuel you even through times where you need to be resilient and through the tough times. So.
Wow. I was going to say, James, will you be my mentor? Thank you. So if you were to think about those tips for people, perhaps like you and me, who get approached to be mentors, what tips would you give to somebody who's considering being a mentor?
Yes, I would say to be purposeful in that it's okay to say no or redirect someone. You don't have to be that go-to person for every individual, because at the end of the day, you have a bandwidth that can only sustain so much. And so it would be better for you to hand someone off to another mentor that you trust, than to take on responsibilities and you not show up for them like you need to.
Mhm.
And so that sometimes is a common problem that I think we fall into, is that trying to be everything for everyone. And so, you know, pick up those opportunities, and then also looking at helping people to understand what mutual relationships look like, that you're not there to just give everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what can this person give? Even if it's not to you, what can they give to others?
Oh,
That throughout the mentorship, I need you to be passing this along to someone else. I need you to be giving to someone else.
wow. That concept of pay forward, give forward. Yeah. Wow. So that mutual discovery, do you have an example of how that has worked well?
Yes, so in terms of college students, being a mentor to some of the students on campus, there are opportunities for them to connect with high school and middle school students. And so now they're in a mentor role. And so when I see it, I get to know someone, I'm like, you know, they have a lot of potential in this mentorship. I know people will listen to them, they'll gravitate toward them. I asked them to be part of some opportunities, to be that for high school students and stuff like that, to kind of pass that forward. Don't hoard the knowledge that you have. You know, I'm sharing this blueprint with you, and I would like for you to share it with others. That a lot of times we get caught into a Hunger Games mentality where we feel that I'm going to get mine and you get yours, and sometimes we do that at the expense of each other. And so I have to be very conscious about what I'm modeling to other people. Just like those people that were modeling to me, I saw it, and sometimes that even spoke louder than the words that they expressed to me.
Yeah, gosh, thank you. And I started this series, the idea for this series, with a little video I did about somebody who was important early in my life. And as you know, I just turned 67, and when you think about that person, what they gave you, kind of, if we can all just keep doing that, wow, that's really cool. James, I want to thank you again for being part of my series, and I'll look forward to staying in touch with you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Talk to you soon.